She was laughing. In my backyard. In my hot tub. With another man's arm wrapped around her like it belonged there. And everyone who found out later said the same thing about me. You must have been blind. You must have been weak. You had no idea, did you? They were wrong. I saw everything. And I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't explode. I locked the gate. And that silence changed everything. If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted, if you've ever found out the truth in a way that made your chest feel hollow, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, would you have stayed calm? Because this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about what happens when the person everyone thinks is weak decides not to react. My name is Michael. I'm 56 years old. I've worked the same industrial maintenance job for over 20 years. Early shifts, loud compressors, steel-toed boots, grease under your nails that doesn't wash out no matter how hard you scrub. It's not glamorous work, but steady, predictable, safe. And I thought my marriage was the same. Laura and I have been married just under a decade. No kids. That was a mutual decision. Or at least I believed it was. We told people we enjoyed our freedom. Weekend getaways. Quiet evenings. No diapers. No college funds. From the outside, we looked solid. But if I'm honest, we weren't passionate anymore. We were polite. There's a difference. Our conversations had turned into schedules. Did you pay the water bill? Are you working late? What do you want for dinner? We stopped asking each other how we felt. We stopped laughing together. And somewhere along the way, I mistook quiet for loyalty. That Tuesday started like any other. Then a compressor failed at work. Alarms went off. Management panicked. They sent half of us home 3 hours early. No overtime. No warning. Just go home. I didn't text Laura. Why would I? She expected me home at 6. I pulled into our suburban driveway, just after 2. Her car was there. That was normal, but something in my chest tightened anyway. The house looked peaceful, curtains still, porch empty, the kind of scene that could be printed on a postcard. I walked toward the side yard instead of the front door. We had a hot tub back there. Laura insisted on it years ago, said it would bring us closer. Couples who soak together stay together, she joked. Lately the pump had been rattling. I figured I'd take a look. The air was warm, too still, and then I heard it. Laughter. Her laughter. Not polite dinner party laughter. Not neighborly chuckles. That soft, unguarded, almost girlish laugh I hadn't heard directed at me in years. And then, a man's voice. Low, relaxed, comfortable. My first instinct was denial. Neighbor. Contractor. Wrong house. But my feet kept moving. The wooden side gate was slightly open. Through the narrow gap, I saw steam rising lazily above the water. Sunlight glinting off ripples. And there they were. Laura. And Jason Miller. Jason, married. Confident. The guy who slapped my shoulder at barbecues and talked about loyalty like it was a personality trait. His arm draped around her shoulders. Her body leaning into his. Her knee pressed against his thigh. Her smile. God. Her smile looked alive. I didn't move. Time slowed down in a strange, clinical way. No dramatic music in my head. No explosion of rage. Just a cold clarity. Like someone flipped a switch inside me. I pulled out my phone. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. I took 2 photos. Clear. Undeniable. Faces. Bodies. Context. Proof. Then I slid the phone back into my pocket. They still hadn't noticed me. I reached for the latch. And I closed the gate. Locked it. The metal clicked softly. It was such a small sound. But in that moment, it felt final. The fence was tall and solid. The only way out now was through the house. Through me. I walked back to my truck and sat down behind the wheel. From the outside, my house looked the same as it had 10 minutes earlier. But inside, my marriage was already dead. And I felt calm. Not peaceful. Not numb. Focused. I scrolled through my contacts until I found Rachel Thompson, Jason's wife. We weren't close. Just shared dinners. Smiles. Holiday cards. She answered on the second ring. Hello. Rachel, I said evenly. This is Michael. I need you to come to my house right now. A pause. Is something wrong? Yes, I said. Your husband is in my backyard. With my wife. Silence. A sharp breath. You're lying. I wish I was. Another pause. I'm 10 minutes away. I'll be here. When I hung up, my phone buzzed almost instantly. Laura, where are you? Thought you'd be home by now. Then another message. Why aren't you answering? She called. I declined it. Silence was louder than yelling. 10 minutes later, a silver sedan pulled up across the street. Rachel stepped out before the engine shut off, her jaw tight, her hands shaking. Another car followed. Her brother, Mark. Big guy, solid build, the kind of presence that makes people reconsider bad decisions. I met them halfway up the driveway. Where? Rachel asked. Backyard, I said. Gates locked. She looked at me sharply. Locked. I secure my property. Mark nodded slowly, understanding more than I'd said. Rachel lifted her phone. Camera on. We walked along the side of the house. The bubbling water grew louder. Then laughter again. Carefree. Oblivious. It sounded obscene now. I turned the latch. Let it happen, I said quietly. Don't say anything at first. Rachel nodded. I opened the gate. They looked up. Jason's face drained of color so fast, it was almost fascinating. Laura's smile froze mid-laugh. For 3 full seconds, nobody moved. Then panic. Water sloshed. Jason scrambled upright. Laura reached for a towel. Oh my God. Keep filming, I said calmly. Rachel's voice was ice. I am. Jason raised his hands like that meant something. You're misunderstanding. Stop, I said. Not loud. Just final. There's nothing to explain when your hand is under the water on another man's wife. Rachel finally spoke. How long? Jason looked at Laura. That hesitation said everything. Rachel slapped her. The sound echoed off the fence. Laura gasped. That, Rachel said, voice shaking, was for lying to me in my own kitchen. Mark stepped forward slightly. Not threatening, just present. I looked at Laura. You have 30 minutes to pack, I said. Her head snapped up. You can't just. I can. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Maybe she didn't, because the man who would have argued, begged, demanded answers, he was gone. Inside the house, I sat at the kitchen table while she packed. Drawers slammed upstairs. Closet doors yanked open. Muffled sobs. She came down in a robe, hair dripping, makeup smeared. Michael, she said softly. Can we talk? There's nothing to talk about. You won't even let me explain? Explain what? I asked. That you weren't sitting on another man in our hot tub. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. I made a mistake. No, I said evenly. You made many. How long? I asked. She hesitated. That second of silence was louder than anything she could have said. That's all I needed, I replied. 20 minutes later, she dragged a trash bag of clothes downstairs. The keys, I said. She dropped them into my palm. Your ring. Her breath caught. She twisted it off slowly and placed it on the counter. A soft metallic click. She lingered at the door. Waiting. For what? Forgiveness? A crack in my composure? She didn't get one. The door closed. Her car pulled away. The house went still. I picked up the ring, turned it once between my fingers, then dropped it into a drawer with spare batteries and rubber bands. That night, I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't pour a drink. I just sat in the quiet. And for the first time in a long time, I slept without wondering who I was sharing my life with. The divorce process was mechanical, cold, efficient. Photos simplify things. Evidence removes debate. She tried to negotiate. I didn't engage emotionally. Assets split. Accounts divided. Locks changed. Passwords updated. Each small action felt like reclaiming oxygen. 3 weeks later, she showed up outside my house with a therapist. I'm trying to save our marriage, she said. She looked thinner, dark circles under her eyes. The confident woman in the hot tub was gone. Dr. Karen Lewis stood beside her with a clipboard. You told me it was a single incident, the therapist said gently. Laura looked away. I simplified. No, I said calmly. You lied. The therapist closed her clipboard. I don't work with ongoing dishonesty, she said. Laura reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't. You lost the right to touch me. You loved me once, she whispered. I did, I said. Past tense. What if I refused to finalize the divorce? I held her gaze. Then the evidence becomes public record. Employers, family, everyone. Right now, only a few people know. Decide how big you want this. Her face went pale. That was the first time she understood. Silence wasn't weakness. It was leverage. The divorce finalized quietly. No courtroom drama. No screaming matches. Just signatures. Rachel invited me over one Saturday night. A few friends. Laughter. Closure. When I came home, the house was dark. Empty. Peaceful. I poured a drink. Sat alone. Not lonely. There's a difference. People said I was cold. That I didn't fight hard enough. That I moved on too easily. What they didn't see was the moment at the gate. When something inside me shifted. Betrayal doesn't always deserve a performance. Sometimes the strongest move is to step back. Lock the gate. Let the truth walk itself into the light. Because the marriage didn't end when I filed papers. It ended the second she chose him over us. Everything after that was logistics. And here's what I learned. Anger feels powerful, but control is stronger. Silence isn't weakness. It's clarity. And the quietest reaction can leave the deepest mark. Marriage isn't built on grand gestures. It's built on respect, on honesty, on the invisible agreements you make every single day. The moment those agreements are broken in secret, the foundation cracks. You can scream, you can beg, or you can decide that your dignity matters more than drama. I didn't win anything. I lost a wife, but I kept myself. And sometimes that's the real victory. If this story hit close to home, hit that like button. Tell me in the comments. Would you have handled it differently? Would you have yelled? Would you have forgiven? And don't forget to subscribe for more real, emotionally intense husband-wife stories that remind us all. Respect isn't optional in marriage. It's everything.